Purgatory. What happened to purgatory? The subject rarely gets mentioned in books or sermons. It seems as if Vatican II refocused Catholic devotional life onto Christ and the sacraments, and thereby diminished the importance of purgatory. Indeed, one survey found nearly 1 in 4 Catholics rejected its existence. The Second Council of Lyon defined purgatory for the first time in 1274. It stated that some souls are purified after death, and such souls benefit from the prayers and pious duties that the living do for them. The Catechism of the Catholic Church defines purgatory as all who die in God's grace and friendship, but still imperfectly purified, are indeed assured of their eternal salvation. But after death, they undergo purification so as to achieve the holiness necessary to enter the joy of heaven. Note also that prayers for the departed and Mass on their behalf helps to shorten their suffering in purgatory. So everyone in purgatory will eventually be in heaven. Most of the case for a doctrine of purgatory rests upon tradition. The Apostle Paul, for instance, in a letter to Timothy, prayed for divine mercy for his apparently deceased friend Onesiphorus. Likewise, early Christian liturgies and inscriptions on catacomb walls contain prayers for the dead. The implication quickly sank in. If prayers aren't needed by souls in heaven and can't help anyone in hell, there must be a third destination. But what? Purgatory was the obvious answer. Purgatory is actually never mentioned in the scriptures, and because of this fact, it is rejected by Protestants. However, there are passages which strongly suggest a biblical case for the doctrine. This is an example. In the parable of the talents in Matthew 25, the master is Christ, the servants are Christians, and they each receive a different reward or punishment based on what they did, corresponding with them going to heaven or hell. Christ utilizes the same metaphor in this parable. Peter said, "Lord, are you telling this parable for us or for all?" And the Lord said, "Who then is the faithful and wise steward whom his master will set over his household to give them their portion of food at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes home, will find that happening. Truly, I tell you, he will set him over all his possessions. But if that servant says to himself, 'My master is delayed in coming,' and begins to beat the men servants and the maid servants, and to eat and drink and get drunk, then the master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, at an hour he does not know, and did not make ready or act according to his will, shall receive a severe beating. Everyone to whom much is given, of him much will be required, and of him to men whom men commit much they will demand the more." However, he doesn't specify two destinations, namely heaven and hell. Rather, he describes 4, or really 3, as we will see. They are as follows. Eternal reward, heaven. Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, will find so doing. Eternal punishment, hell. The master will punish him and put him with the unfaithful. Temporary punishment, purgatory. Severe punishment, the servant shall receive a severe beating. Light punishment, the servant shall receive a light beating. Thus, Jesus clearly describes 4 outcomes for the master's servants. Each of these describes what the servants receive upon the master's return, that is, Christ's return, and are thus clearly eschatological. There is no more work to be done. All that remains is reward and punishment. However, two of these outcomes are of the same type, namely temporary punishment. Therefore, we can say that our Lord describes three outcomes: eternal reward, eternal punishment, or temporary punishment, i.e., heaven, hell, and purgatory. In other words, those who go to purgatory will eventually go to heaven. And there it is, purgatory straight from the mouth of Christ.